Today, Sony is worth over $100 billion. But in 1946, the company started in a bombed-out building in Tokyo. They had 0 products, they had 0 customers, and almost no money. The 2 engineers who founded it started with a single invention, a wooden rice cooker. It either burned the rice to a crisp or left it completely raw. This cycle, building a product, watching it fail, and immediately starting over, became the pattern that defined the next 7 decades of their history. Akio Morita was supposed to take over his family's 14-generation brewery. Instead, he begged to study physics, which led him to design weapons for the Japanese Navy during World War II. That is where he met Masaru Ibuka. Both were engineers, both despised using technology for destruction, and they both wanted to build things that improved everyday life. When the war ended, their jobs vanished overnight. Japan's infrastructure was in ruins, half the population was displaced, and the government had severed the wires inside civilian radios to block foreign signals. Masaru saw those broken radios. He knew people needed to hear the news, so he set up a scrappy repair service specifically to fix those severed wires. The repair shop succeeded and earned a feature in a local magazine. Akio read that article, called his old friend, and with a small 190,000 yen loan from Akio's father, they officially incorporated. They identified a broken environment, applied brute force engineering, and used borrowed capital to solve an immediate problem. It was the birth of the company's internal engine. When Akio eventually traveled overseas to license transistor technology, he saw the skyscrapers of New York and a fast-paced economic recovery in Germany. On his way home, a waiter served him dessert, jokingly placing a tiny paper umbrella on top, pointing out it was made in Japan. The mockery stung. Akio's mission shifted from selling electronics to trying to change the way the world viewed Japanese manufacturing. When they developed their first transistor radio, they hit an immediate wall. It was slightly too large to fit inside a standard men's shirt pocket. Instead of redesigning the radio, they manufactured a line of custom shirts with oversized pockets. Their salesmen wore them to pitch meetings to prove the device could fit. The umbrella mockery had created a willingness to execute these types of odd brute force solutions to get their products into the global market. Their ability to absorb hits was constantly tested. In the home video format wars, their Betamax technology lost entirely to VHS. They took that loss and developed the Walkman. Almost everyone inside the company thought portable tape players would fail. Akio pushed it through anyway, threatening to resign if it didn't sell 30,000 units. It sold 385 million. Years later, Nintendo publicly scrapped a major partnership with Sony to work with their rival, Philips. Sony responded by building the PlayStation, capturing the gaming market, and generating decades of profit. They even passed on the chance to buy the entire Marvel character catalog for $25 million because executives only wanted Spider-Man. The trails and billion-dollar mistakes didn't sink them. They treated every disaster as a lesson that informed whatever they built next. Most business advice tells you to study Sony's massive wins, like the PlayStation or the Spider-Man acquisition, but that skips over the burning rice cooker, the unsafe electric heating blankets, and the fact that 95% of their first batch of transistors were defective. In 1946, these 2 engineers stood in that ruined room and made a choice. They would simply keep showing up. They didn't persist because a financial projection told them it was a safe bet. They kept iterating out of a stubborn belief in what they were building. Historic empires are built by individuals who refuse to stop. That's not a strategy. That's a choice. And it's a choice that gets made again every single day by people running small businesses that nobody has made a documentary about yet. Sony didn't start with a vision board. They started with a broken rice cooker and a repair shop for severed radio wires. Every historic company you admire started that way. Not with a perfect plan, with someone who just kept showing up. The question isn't whether you have the right product or the right market or the right moment. The question is whether you're willing to keep going when the rice burns. If you want to go deeper into the Sony story, I linked a few recommended books below. And I want to know, is Sony's story proof that persistence always wins? Or does it matter what you're building and why? Tell me in the comments and watch the next video on our channel.